Welcome to the final video in the C++ character select tutorial. So in this one we'll be creating a dictionary in the player controller, finishing off the spawn and possess method in the player controller, and we'll be doing a little bit of project setup so that we can actually use this controller and use the C++ code. So we'll go into that now. So the first thing that we'll be doing is we'll be creating a dictionary in the player controller. If you don't know what dictionary is, it's highly worth looking at. And if you just go into Google and type UE4 tmap, all the documentation is there. But for now, I'll just show you how I'm going to use the tmap for the purposes of this tutorial. So I'm going to go into the character select controller header, and under the public section, I'm just going to add a public uProperty. I'm going to have it edit defaults only. I'm going to give it a category of equals character list. And then for my tmap, I want a uint 8, and I want a t subclass of open brackets class a colon. And I'm going to call this character map. Okay, what's it doing look like that? Oh, hang on. No capital C. Hopefully that'll fix it. Give it a little second for the IntelliSense to catch up. So I've got a T subclass of class A. I've got uint, which is the key value, and then is the key, and then for the T subclass A pawn, that is the value. And there you go. IntelliSense is caught up, so it's accepting that. So what I've done is I've created a public property, which is edit defaults only, and I'm going to use this to store a list of characters. So first things first, I'm going to build this. It should be compiling a lot more often, but hopefully it won't take too long. So that's compiled. It likes the new variable we've added. So what we'll do next is we're going to go into the editor here. Now what I'm going to do is quick, but I could reference each individual class using a constructor helper, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just use the blueprints instead. So character select control is the one we've been working on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click that. I'm going to create a blueprint class based on character select controller. So I'm going to select the blueprints folder. I'm just going to add the prefix, the fix at the end to say that it's a character select controller BP, and I'm just going to create that. Give it a few seconds, and there you go. It's opened up automatically. So in the top right, you can see here we've got a character map. So if I add an element, oh hang on, can I add another key? So element 1, element 2, element 3. Now, as you can see here, we've got 1, 2 and 3, and if you cast your mind back a little bit further back into the tutorial, then what we coded the buttons for. So red button's index is 1, index is 2, and green button is index 3. Well, pretty much that corresponds with these, basically these key variables here, and that's what we're trying to do. We're using that index to access this key. So what I'm going to quickly do is, I've already got a red character here, so I'm going to put a red character in, a blue character in for 2, and a green character in for 3. Hit compile, hit save, just check that's on. Yeah, it's on success only, but just force a habit. And basically this character map is ready to go. Now that the character map has been populated, it's time to finish off the player control blueprints. So I'm going to go into the character select controller.cpp, and I'm going to basically finish off the spawn character code here. So, first thing I need to do is I need to create a factor spawn parameters. I'm just going to call that spawn params. I'm going to make the spawn params owner equals this. Okay, next thing I want to do is, okay, I'm just going to get a character variable. So I want to point to a character variable, and I'm going to call this the current possessed pawn. Equals cast. Get a character. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the player controller to get the pawn. So in Blueprint this would be get current pawn, but in C++ it's just get pawn. Next I'm going to do is I'm going to see if current possessed pawn is not null pointer. If it's not null pointer, I want to check to see if the character map .num is empty. If the character mapper is literally got nothing in it, I'm just going to say okay then return. I could put a depot on, but it'll stop it in its tracks. So it's empty, it should possess. Next thing I want to do is I'm going to do another bool check. So if character map dot contains, and I'm going to feed in the index. So okay then, next going to check to see if it contains that particular index. Get a T subclass of class a pawn map pawn equals character map find ref. So what find ref does is it looks for that particular, searches through the dictionary and sees if that key value is in the dictionary. Okay then, so if map pawn type, then what I need to do next is, okay then I'll just get the control reference. So I'm going to go a CS tutorial. In fact, I'm just going to do a character, new character equals get world. Oh, I beg your pardon. Okay, this is where you have to be careful, because when you're spawning an actor, you've got to be very specific about it. So you need to determine what type it is. So the ones that I've created are a subtype of CS tutorial character.h. So I'm just going to quickly add that in at the top. Add that CS character.h, and if that is valid, PA CS tutorial character pointer new character equals get world. And what I want to do here is I want to spawn actor a CS tutorial character, open brackets, map pawn, get pawn, so actor location, get actor location. So that basically where it spawns in, I'll just get the location there. I want the rotation, so get pawn. I want to get actor rotation, brackets, and what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to enter spawn params. Spawn parameters, close that off there. If new character, then we can run that code. So using the player controller methods already available to it, we're going to unpossess the current possessed pawn. We're going to possess, too many S's, the new character, and the current possessed pawn get pointed to arrow. We're going to destroy it. Brackets. Now, obviously, we don't want to leave the menu on the screen, so if this parenthesis works, just say OK then. If ensure menu is not null pointer, open brackets, return. If not, menu, close widget. So what this method does is it'll basically attempt to spawn a character, checks the character map to see if it's got anything in it. If it's not empty, well, obviously if it's empty, it'll return. It'll check for an index. If that key's in there with an associated value, it will spawn it. If not, we'll put an else here. Else here. And see if we got a UE log. No, we haven't got a UE log, but we'll make one. UE log, log temp, warning, comment, text, no key value found in character map. Return out of that as well. Okay, so that's basically the last spawn character method. So I'm just going to hit compile, or build rather. Okay, so that's built and it's not throwing out any errors. So the last thing we need to quickly do is basically get a version of this player control we're using and test to see if the code works. Okay, so the moment of truth now is to test if this all works. So I'm going to quickly just go into the project settings, and I'm going to use the character select controller BP. So project settings, maps and nodes, and I'm just going to go character select controller BP. Just quickly save all. And let's see what happens, see if it spawns in. Hit play. Okay, so there's our widget. So we've got red, blue, green, let's see green. And it worked. So escape again, hit play, blue, same thing happens. And finally, just for demonstration, red. So as a final sort of overview, what's going on in the code is the player controller here is basically finding this widget, accessing it and storing it as a value. When it begins play, it will create it. The widget is created, binds to these buttons which you've just seen, and when one of these buttons is pressed, it sets the index here, passes it through the interface, call interface, sends it through to the character controller, and then when we hit this method here, which is the interface method, it's basically checking to see if there's any parameters, creating spawn parameters, getting if there's a current pawn possessed. If that current pawn is not null, which it shouldn't be, but it can be, checks the character map to see if it's empty. If it's empty, it'll just stop it in its tracks. If it contains an index, it'll find that index, that pawn, and basically it will spawn a character based on that. If it can't find that key value, it will stop it, return, and then it closes the menu down. So that brings us to the end of this tutorial series. So if you've got to this far, thank you for watching and bearing with me. I do appreciate that there was quite a lot of stuff to cover. Please put in the comments below if you have any suggestions or if you see anything that I could do better, and I will see you next time. Thank you. Thank you for watching my video. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe to my channel.